my first couple buyers were actually Zillow
Mm-hmm.
people. And yeah, the commission on it is not the best, but you get referrals. That's how I learned about like the VA loans and all that because I was getting so much activity. And Zillow, I mean, if you are on a Zillow team, like your phone does ring. I mean, it's Russian roulette.
Welcome to the Your Peak Life podcast. Let's conquer the summit of life and reach the apex of our potential.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Your Peak Life podcast. So I am here with Ava Giselle.
Yes, thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
It's a nice gloomy day outside.
I know. We kind of needed a little rain, but I'm not really feeling the cold, but that's
Right. It finally got cold. We're like halfway into November and it finally got chilly. I guess, Ava, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, so I've been in real estate since I think 2020. I love real estate, but my journey's been a little bit different than the average normal, I should say. So first brokerage I went to, I think I had only told you that I'm not a citizen, so I'm a green card. So when all that COVID stuff happened, it took a while for my license to go through. But first brokerage I went to before I was active, I had 2 deals,
Right.
almost at $1 million. And obviously I'm not going to name drop anyone in any of this, but I had 2 deals. And I was thinking like these people would be like, wow, almost $1 million, 2 deals, like you're freaking amazing. No. So because of my citizenship, it took a while, and I guess I couldn't get paid a commission until all of that stuff went through. By the grace of God, my license went through on closing day. So long story short, I got paid, but realized I didn't want to be a part of that brokerage. They also gave me a mentor that wasn't really kind of match made for me. And being in real estate this long, like whoever your mentor is so important. I mean, that is like a make or break, especially if you don't know anything in this industry. Who you are has to be compatible, or
I
else.
agree. I mean, yeah, just having the label doesn't necessarily mean you get to get with anybody.
No, and I even told them, I was like, why don't you put me with that guy? I mean, he's amazing. And they were mainly like, well, you have kids, so I put you with this person that has kids. And I'm like, okay, but no connection, nothing, like no motivation for me. And it just didn't work out. And then the second place I went to, so rewind. The only reason that I got into real estate is mainly because of Kyle, who is my hubby. I was a finance manager and a recruiter for Smart Circle, but I figured why not get my license? You know, he's referring all these deals out, so why not have that under my belt? And then after COVID, my recruiting job kind of went to shit. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, you're good.
So, I didn't want to be a finance manager because I have kids, and anyone that does that knows like you have no life. So when I went to get my license, I was like, okay, this second brokerage that I went to, Kyle's ex-business partner was already an agent. So I was more of like a TC for them, which I didn't mind because they do more of the investor side. And I was like, I don't really care about a home snap award. Sure, I'll do TC.
Okay.
So I learned like the title stuff. I mean, they're all correlated with each other, but I kind of worked behind the scenes. So I wasn't really in front of people or talking. I just did all the paperwork. And Kyle and his ex-partner were doing about 25 properties a year. We had our own team of VAs, so things were going pretty good. I'd say 2022, obviously in real estate, you're obviously not seasoned until crazy stuff happens, and there's unfortunately savages out there. So we broke up the partnership, had to go through some legal situation that we're still going through that I can't talk about. But I figured, you know what? Let me try the agent side. So I went to my third brokerage, and I told Kyle, like, hey, maybe I can intertwine some of this stuff. Let me learn like buyer's agent. I never wrote an offer because even the first brokerage that I went to, the two female mentors that I had never showed me the offers. I didn't even know how to read a contract. Like, all of that was honestly Chinese for me. But I didn't care. I was getting a check. So I'm like, okay.
Oh, because they did it all for you since
Yes.
you weren't licensed.
Well, and then, no. I mean, I would ask questions and they would just be like, well, we got an offer, blah, 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 blah. But they wouldn't say, hey, this is like FHA, this is VA. So, and which now I'm like, God, that's so important. So went to the third brokerage. As soon as I got to that third brokerage, I went independent because I had a bunch of leads still, and I still had no idea what I was doing. Third brokerage, I don't know what, third year, still no clue how to read a contract, write a contract, but I'm somehow making it. And you can only fake it and make it for so long, especially in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
So third brokerage, had a client. My second day there, I had my first buyer. It was an investor, and he was like, I want to write an offer. So the independent place that I went to, everybody was always helpful. You had the resources if you needed to call someone. Like, they were on the phone with me for hours, breaking it down, and wrote an awful offer. It ended up, the seller actually ended up cursing me out and telling me.
Was it like 40 grand below or something?
No. Well, so we did a home inspection. Okay. And this seller is very well known too. And it was kind of like a flipped house. And my client had a contractor on his team anyway. So I'm assuming, oh, it's fine, whatever. So we did a home inspection, and the home inspection came back with a bunch of stuff. And if you don't know how to read a home inspection, then let me pray for you, because some things can look like it's $5,000 and it's really $50 at Home Depot. And if you don't have an agent that can educate you on that,
anti-siphon.
Oh my gosh!
That's
I've actually
everything.
gotten that on a picker. The home inspector laughed. I was like, people can be crazy, but whatever. But it's so important for people for agents to know how to understand a home inspection, especially even now. We released on one of Kyle's properties because I'm like, good Lord, like a siphon. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, every coil's dirty, by the way.
So here I am, like, all right, yay. I'm writing an offer, doing all this stuff. When I went to the third brokerage, I'm not even going to lie, Kyle would always tell me, Ava, what you need to do, be on the phone. Be on the phone. Call. That's the biggest, most best advice I can give you. And I'm like, you don't know anything, whatever. I know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. So I went to this third brokerage, and one of the people that I work there, beautiful person. So I was like, you know what? Let's try putting out marketing materials. Let's see what we can do. We got nothing out of that. But that was my fault too, because I was scared of the phone.
Yeah.
I didn't have a mentor, anyone to be like, hey, let me hear you on the call. I'm a people person. When I used to go on
well, hold on. Let me stop you there. When you were doing the marketing, were you picking up any leads from that?
I had stacks of leads from Kyle's old VAs, and he's pulled his own list. And every single week I'd go on the MLS and I'd be like, oh, this one's sold by this agent. So I'm like, what a loser. But I wasn't.
But you never called.
Never. Well, yeah. And for me, I'm in sales. I was a finance manager. I was a recruiter. If I'm comfortable about what I'm talking about, I can swag it out all day. If I don't, and I feel that I lose my credibility, then I just shut down and I'm like, ooh. So I would go to, Kyle would make fun of me because he'd be like, hey, how'd the appointment go? And there was one of the first ones that I got. It was in 2021 or something, and it was in Sandpiper, and it was an $800,000 house. The guy had an elevator in it, and he was okay with meeting me. So I went there, talked to him for an hour. We played Scrabble. Okay. I talked about his cat. We talked. I couldn't bring up real estate. Nothing. I was the minute that I would start to even think about talking about it, I couldn't do it because I'm like, what if he asks me a lender question? What if he asks me that? And I don't know. So I look back at myself and I'm like, what an idiot. But I mean, trial and error. So what are you going to do? So I would go through all these leads and I'd be like, oh, this one's gone. Oh, this one's gone. So when I went to that third brokerage, I was there for a couple weeks. I was there for a couple months. and then decided, you know what? I need more of hands-on. You know, I need somebody, and also with our situation, I mean, I needed active leads. So all the ones that I had, you know, when Kyle goes into his stuff, they're more like cash offer stuff. So it's easier to be like, oh, you don't want to do that for a cash offer? Well, hey, I got a rock star agent. We can do X, Y, and Z, and you can list it on the MLS. So you've got options, and who doesn't like options? So given our situation with our legal stuff, it was more of like, hey, I need something right now where someone's ready, and I'd never done the buyer side.
Okay.
So went to brokerage number 4 and went on a team, and people don't even understand what a team is. A team doesn't mean you don't know anything. A team is, there's pros and cons, and it's tailored to what works out better for you. Like being on a team, they have a TC available for you if you need it. They have active leads. They have multiple resources of people right there if you, whatever it is that you need, versus being independent. And it's a little trickier. I mean, I'm independent now, but prior to that, it's like, what are you looking for? And people are not really educated on what the difference is. Which
and then for people who are like, let's say, who are newer in real estate and shopping for a team, I always recommend, like, your first 2 years are crucial, whether it's a good mentor or a good team. Like, I think everybody should kind of go through that. Sure,
1,000%.
there's people that come from a real estate background that are going to do well, but for the most part, and then also, every team is different. So every team has different splits, different leads. We have teams in this office who organically get their own leads. They're out there, you know, doing their open houses, marketing, door knocking, you know, circle prospecting, farm, whatever. They do it all. And then they have other teams, like I used to use Zillow and other lead sources to feed my team members. But with that, you know, splits are different.
Yes.
And what I tell people is, like, the reason I take the split is because if you do what I'm training you to do, this is the last time I'm going to see this lead. You're going to be following up with this person.
Right.
Because if not, guess what? Edgar will be there.
And he'll take them.
With those flyers at their door.
And I mean, and the thing about teams is, you know, some people look down upon them, which they shouldn't. But yeah, like you said, Zillow. My first couple buyers were actually Zillow people. And yeah, the commission on it is not the best, but you get referrals. That's how I learned about like the VA loans and all that, because I was getting so much activity. And Zillow, I mean, if you are on a Zillow team, like, your phone does ring. I mean, it's Russian roulette. You know?
I mean, I paid. I wasn't like on Zillow Flex, so I paid for my own. So even I could be more generous with the leads in that sense when I did the math. And then now one of my team members still uses my account, although he's paying for it. He's working the leads and everything. You see my face out there, but it's not really me. But he started his own team, and the reason we did it that way is just I was up on the food chain in Zillow, so we were able to keep the good zip codes instead of him starting all over from the bottom and working his way up.
Yeah.
But he's kind of done what I did, and he's doing good. I think he's got 3 team members now, and they're rocking it. One thing I didn't ask you, how old are your kids?
So I have a 5-year-old boy and my bonus girl. She's 8.
8?
Yes.
Okay.
And anyone that has kids knows that those ages are, they're so much fun. I love them to death. But, you know, balancing everything out and trying to give them their time, because, you know, they're in school and you don't want to feel guilty and all of that stuff. So balancing your schedule is so important, which I'm OCD, so I'm very organized. I do time management, and people who don't do that, like, may the force be with you, because that is such a game changer. And they all know. Like, I have Kyle on a shared calendar. Like, he knows from this time to this time, leave her alone. Or, you know, every couple months I cut off a distraction. I don't watch TV anymore. What am I doing? I'm shooting videos. It takes me 2 minutes. So
well, even like today, you know, I had to reschedule this with you because I totally forgot we have I can say it now because this ain't come on until after that. We have a surprise little going away thing for Eric.
Good, you're surprising him because he was like, oh, is anyone gonna do anything? I was like, I'm sure they will.
Yeah. He doesn't know, and I didn't put it on my calendar.
That's okay.
I've been really good about that. I have my days pretty much planned out through next week, and I have a lot of slots, where it's
calendars are so important, and agents, like when they go into any type of real estate team or whatever, I mean, the number one thing they should say is make your calendar your Bible. That's so important. Follow it,
and
because if not, you're not going to be consistent. And I'm somebody like systems in place. Put goals. I write a letter to myself every year, and I open it on my birthday, and I'm like, hey, are you still a loser, or are you actually making those changes? I mean, there's so many things that.
Well, one of the changes is calling that list.
Yeah. Well, I haven't. I remember you were there with me. So obviously, this whole legal situation that I'm, hopefully it'll come to an end soon. I mean, there's 24 hours in a day. I get a lot done. How many I did so. I can get scatterbrained and talk about a lot of things. But when I left the third brokerage and I went to the fourth, I started getting a lot of Zillows. But obviously with Zillow, they take a lot of it. So I am always thinking outside the box. I will find whatever alternative. So how many agents do you know that have also done a wholesale deal?
Right.
So Kyle and I did our first wholesale deal, 10-day close. I did it within 1 month. And the biggest thing that works for me is I don't overthink. I just trial and error, no matter what. I mean, people get in their head so much and they pay attention to the competition. I'm like, do what works for you. Everybody has their own method. You guys are my fifth brokerage, which I feel that honestly, I've been 2 weeks. I've accomplished so much being independent now and just putting in my own routine. I mean, I can't wait to show you guys like what's going to be coming in the next couple months.
Good. So, what's coming these next couple of months?
Well, okay. So this kind of has to do with real estate, but this is something that I've been kind of wanting to create. Anyone that's a real estate agent knows that you end up becoming kind of like a therapist for people. Right, and if you are somebody that's a really good listener and you have good advice, maybe get into real estate. I mean, you got to be a people person. So I wanted to kind of create the first Hampton Roads like matchmaking. A lot of my friends, a lot of people that I know, they are so depressed. They are tired of swiping left, swiping right, and it's hard. They
want to actually meet some people.
They do. And you know what? Call me crazy, but listen, whenever when I didn't have a partner, it's easier said than done. If you're happy with your partner, you can't imagine how other people feel.
Right.
And when you have somebody, only you can make yourself happy. But if you have somebody that, just makes you feel good, you're pumped up more. No matter what, you just want to push yourself more. Thanks, with all the holidays coming up, that depressing Christmas music and cuffing season and all of that.
Watching all the couples post their
who are you bringing to the Christmas party? Nobody. I don't know. Stop asking me. And then it's like nobody's
under the mistletoe for you.
No, it's just gonna be me and them bonbons. But so that's why I was like, you know what? This is it's a win-win. I keep saying, wait until my situation goes away. I'll do it. But no, whatever. I'll do it now. So I'm creating this matchmaking. I've already talked to a couple people. So a lot of people are interested. I obviously have to finalize a venue, a DJ. So if anyone wants to collaborate, let me know. But I want to help people also find love. And if I do, then let me matchmake you with your perfect home. And if you're a real estate agent, maybe invite me to the wedding. But this is something that I think will kind of help this area out, I mean, a lot of people that I know, there's something funky in the weather, and it's a win-win. So I want to start the first Hampton Roads matchmaking. So if you're looking for love, send me a message.
So you're going to do some events, some like kind of social events?
Yes.
Okay.
Because what people don't know is that I'm actually a pretty good party host thrower.
Okay.
Yeah. So, You know, why not?
I want to jump into some speed dating just to do it.
I'm telling you, the stuff that I have.
Just me and my wife show up. We're just gonna do some speed dating.
Listen, it's gonna be. You're laughing, but I'm telling. And I was gonna do like an all white theme, but Diddy kind of ruined that for me. So I'm gonna see what else that I can kind of think. But it's gonna be the first. It's trial and error. But you know what? It might work. You might find the person for you. And if I do a great job, then you know what? Trust me.
Well, I mean, they're showing up for a purpose.
Yes.
Right, like, or with a purpose. You know, you're trying to meet somebody versus just reading a profile left, right.
It's and you know what? It has to also happen organically. Yes, I met Kyle on Plenty of Fish like 7 or 8 years ago. So do those apps work? I mean, they could, but why not I wanted to do like 25 guys and 25 girls, ask the right questions, put them in and experiment and see, hey. And if not, it'll be a fun party.
Are you asking them the questions at the party or before?
No.
So
so they would have to reach out to me, and then I would have them fill out this questionnaire because it's very important. They can either send me a quick video answering those questions because, one, you got to be there for the right reason. This isn't just for you to just come and whatever. Like, I really want to help people find their person. And why not? I mean, and I have so many different friends that I'm like, dang, I wish I could put you guys in a room together. So why not? It's just.
I think that's great, and I think I'm
actually.
I'm actually glad to hear that you're vetting it. I've been married for 17 years.
Dang, what's your secret?
Communication, open communication,
laughter.
Definitely, for sure.
Sense of humor is so important.
My wife is, I want to say, polar opposite of me. You know, I think I saw a meme or a post something where it's like the happiest couples is the giddy happy one, and then there's the serious one that just
1000%. Kyle and I polar opposites.
Well, I mean, it's definitely communication for sure. I mean, that's going to be top of the list. Respect our boundaries. You know,
loyalty
gotta be. You know, if we're feeling funky or we just know each other, I'm gonna it's the other way around, because I'm pretty sure I got PTSD to some extent, and I get in my funk and she leaves me alone. I have my space and I don't want to talk to the world. I don't know, it's a weird thing, but I gotta go to get evaluated. So it happens every now and then. I'll get triggered, and she knows. She leaves me alone. And
you guys have the same love language, which is so important.
Right. And then outside of that, you know, we're heavily vested into our children. So that's
How old are
always
your kids again?
12, 7, and 5. So yes. We're always there for our kids, whether it's a school event or just little school marathons or whatever. But just going to the relationship, we are first. Like, even above our kids, above our mom, dad.
Thank you.
Family members, we are the family.
Yeah.
So nobody gets to any say in our relationship.
Good. Yeah. I mean, you're doing
I think that's where people make the mistake also, is they're listening to their parents, they're listening to outside voices, and it shouldn't be that way. You should be communicating and really telling each other how you're feeling or shit that bothers you about them.
Yeah.
And on the receiving end, you should be able to take that and just say,
no,
all right, I'll change that, or I'll do that a little less, or I'll do more over here. You know, there's a middle ground.
And a lot of people I know, like, just speaking to my friends, I'm like, what happened? And they'll tell me, and I'm like, well, you try to trauma bond with people. And I always say, I'm like, whoever you're with should be like a getaway from everything. If you're talking to someone about something depressing and you guys are going to be stuck in that funk. So you need somebody to kind of put you out. Or, you know, if you have somebody who keeps talking about how their parents were, well, break the fucking cycle, you know?
Well, yeah. And I see it a lot where people will say, there's no good men, there's no good women, or there's plenty. But I think you got to get out of your circle also. A lot of times, you know, negativity attracts negativity. You know, birds of a feather flock together. It's so true. And when you see people marrying, divorcing, You could all like you're not gonna say it, but I already know who's gonna get divorced. Like I know which couples are gonna get divorced.
And people stay together for the kids, and I'm like, listen, your kids are gonna get old, and they're gonna live their lives, and then your whole youth is gone, and then your kids. I love my grandparents to death, but in my culture, divorce is frowned upon. But in their whole life that I've even seen them, I've never seen them hold hands. I've never seen them kiss, and that's so important. I do the polar opposite of what I was kind of brought up on, and I see the difference that like my kids see because they want to see like a happy home, and they pay attention to that. And people don't realize, like, don't fight in front of your kids. Kyle and I know we have like a safe word, and I'm like, bro, and he's like, so we speak that because we know, like, hey, that's not something for them to see. We want to make them greater than what we're not going to be victims.
I also, if I need advice or anything, I'm going to listen to the people that have longevity in their relationship. It's kind of like, when you give advice to people like
real estate too.
Are you going to listen to somebody who's never bought a house or sold a house? No, it's the same thing. If you've been divorced or are divorced or single, I'm not going to talk to you about a relationship or something that I need advice on, for example. Not that I'm out there just asking people, but I think what we got going on is great.
And it works for you guys.
Yeah, and then I've given advice on what is working for us. And again, that key word, us. Your relationship has different dynamics than mine.
1,000%. And it works for us. We don't listen to anyone else, but a lot of people, they don't even know what they want. Even with real estate, like, what is your goal? Why are you even doing this? Are you a people person? It's like people get so caught up with social media or selling sunset. And I'm like, this is not selling sunset. This is like love and hip hop. But people get so stuck in like whatever other people are doing. I never cared about social media.
What you eat doesn't make me shit.
Exactly. So I'm just like, people, I don't know if it was COVID, but I feel a lot of people have just got lost in the sauce, and people that you see that are thriving on social media, they're low-key so depressed. I've even told people, I'm like, I would have thought you were like Dan Bilzerian. They're like, no, I'm actually like, I cry every night. And I'm like, damn, let me help you.
I've seen that plenty of times. And like, even when I talk about like, the rest of the ownership, they're all veterans. They're all got, they got out and they do like the disability and all that. And I'm the only one that hasn't done it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. And I'm like, I got to go get checked out for my little PTSD, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like I get violent or anything crazy. Nothing like that. Not that extreme. It's just like, I could tell I'm just in a rut and I don't want to talk to people. It's just like things just aggravate me.
What's your go-to to get out of it? You like, some people will work out, or some people like
you know what?
Therapy.
Definitely music. I'll just drive. Honestly, I'll drive, listen to music.
Hey, I DoorDashed with our legal situation. I didn't care. People would be like, what if somebody saw you? I'd be like, you know what? They better give me a fat tip. You can't care. I don't care. They're not paying my bills.
It's your life, your relationship, your everything. And that's where people get that's where the mistake is, that people think they're going to show up to a 9-to-5 in real estate, and that's just not how it works. You're independent. You got to go after it. You got to make the calls. You got to fill up that database. The reason I recommend a mentor or a team of some sort is because they're going to be holding you accountable to an extent, right? Yeah. And at a certain point, and you leave the nest, right? You go out and you start doing your own thing. You start making those calls. You might build your own team or whatever, or brokerage. But let me ask you this. Okay, I like the idea about actually doing the mixer. Yes.
So is Iron Valley going to sponsor it?
I don't know.
I'm kidding.
That's like a Tuesday meeting.
Okay.
But we do.
It's gonna be. I'm telling you, I've got such a good feeling.
But we do, pour into our agents, so we could monetary, like sponsoring it. I mean, I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, no, I have no idea what it looks like either. I was like, well, you know what? Let me just
we've done plenty of sponsors, honestly, and we got another sponsorship coming up in January for Mike's event, and that's going to be a great one at Iron Asylum.
I need a DJ. I need a restaurant venue
in Norfolk.
But I mean, I think it's going to be, listen, people, I step outside the box. Kyle calls me nuts, but I mean, what are you going to do? You have to.
We have an agent. He's become like and I'm going to put you together with him.
Castle?
No, not Chris Castle. He started social events, and now he's like the guy in the area for these social events. And most of his business comes from that. Pretty good, I would say. He qualified for Jamaica.
He's not DoorDashing, is he?
Hell no. Hell no.
It's like,
he's doing rooftop parties and shit like that.
And, I came from D.C. I was there from 6 years old until 30 years old. I was in Fairfax, Arlington, D.C. Nightlife is a little different. I was a cocktail waitress, which was very easy, but it's totally different vibes. And it's just something that's uplifting. You feel good. You want to dress nice. You want to take care of yourself. You don't want to give that up. So,
well, here in okay, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully, in Turks and Caicos and just traveling. But, I want to have my dream home, obviously. I want to have something for the kids to be able to give something to them, to put them in school. But I hope I'm in a position where I don't have to obviously struggle financially and be in a legal situation. But, I want to be where I saw myself at 30 years old. When you're 18, 19, you think 30 is old. And then I'm 38 and I'm like, shit. I wrote a letter to myself at 40, and I'm like, there's no way. That's why I'm doing all of these crazy things, because I'm like, you know what? I'm a loser, and this is on me if I'm not doing all the stuff and all the resources, because all the resources are out there. Yeah. All of them. There's 24 hours in a day. I barely sleep. TV takes a lot of people's time, so why not? And I better hit my goal at 40. We're going to record this at 40 years old. And I will invite you to my house party.
Okay.
With the ice luge and everything. And you're going to be like, wow, it didn't take you 5 years.
Where are you from? Originally?
My nationality.
Yeah.
Iranian. Well, I'm full Iranian, even though I've never been to my country. But both my parents are full Iranian. They left after the king got overthrown. And then I was born in Norway. So, Norwegian citizen.
So, hold on. So, your parents fled or went to Norway?
Yes. After they overthrew the king, they went to London, and then they went to Norway, which my parents ended up. We had family there too, so I was there until I was about 6. My green card will say I came in 92.
All right.
So the first language I ever spoke was Norwegian. My dad speaks 7 languages, so he's very cultural. I don't speak Norwegian anymore. The only thing that I know how to say is like shit on the table. But then I learned Farsi because my grandparents, even though they always spoke English, it was so important to them for me and my brother to have our culture. So if we talked to them in English, they pretended they didn't understand us. So they always spoke Farsi, which I speak full Farsi. So if there's an Iranian community in this area, I can help you. But yeah, Norwegian citizen, and then we went to basically Virginia, and then I came here 2017.
2017, gotcha. And you were up north in
I went to school in like Westfield, Jeb Stewart, so Northern Virginia was like my main stomping ground, like Tyson's Corner. I used to go there all the time.
You said you left Norway at 6. How was it going from there to the States?
So,
is that what happened?
Well, so my parents ended up getting divorced, and then we had family in California, and then we had some other family members in Virginia. So California was a little more expensive, so we ended up planting the seeds in Virginia. So my mom, my grandparents, and my aunt, we all lived together, which was so much fun, in like Falls Church. And then my mom had a sister. So usually in like our culture, if you have a son, the son will end up taking care of everybody. But because it was my mom and her sister was 10 years younger, she ended up hustling her whole life and working her ass off. She's my inspiration. When I was 13 years old, she got a really good job in Florida. So she kind of had to leave, but she was taking care of my grandparents because they were businessmen, and my grandfather, he owned a construction company, but when they overthrew him, they took his house, his business. There was nothing he could do about it, so they had to start from scratch. So my mom started at like Bloomingdale's and then went to like Tiffany's, and then she got this really good job at WFI. Now she's like top director for T-Mobile in Anaheim, California. So all I saw her was like no excuses. She's actually a little too independent, where I'm like, Mom, you're definitely emasculating him. You have to find a balance.
Yeah.
But she raised me to be like, you don't need anybody. You got to do it for yourself, and you don't need to. I always tell Kyle too, I joke around with him. I'm like, look, I don't need you. I want you.
Okay.
So, you know, and it's a two-way street. You know, even now when people date, I had somebody, there was like a group of guys, and they're like, let me ask you something. Like, do you ever pay for the bill when you go to a restaurant? And I'm like, listen, a lady should always do the reach, no matter what. You should always do the reach. Pretend like you are.
Yeah.
If a guy takes the bait, okay, you suck. You may not get a different. You may not get a second date.
I think that also comes to, if I invite you to dinner, lunch, breakfast, brunch, whatever, I'm paying.
Listen, and I've had my friends.
If you're inviting me, I'm probably paid too, but at least do the reach.
Listen, that's why I was like, oh my gosh, when I do this matchmaking, I'm going to also have a couple videos, and that would be one of them, to let guys know. This one guy, he was like, Ava, well, it was pissing me off so bad because I would take these girls out, and they would order the most expensive thing. And those are the girls that ruin it for people, because it's like, you're an asshole. Like, there's no need for you to order the freaking filet mignon and whatever. Like, come on a first date. So he was like, well, I take her to breakfast, because how much can you spend on eggs? And I'm like, that's pretty freaking smart.
Brunch.
You know, I can play devil's advocate because I'm not team girl, team guy. I'm both of them. But I'm like, ladies, always reach for it. You know, reach. It's not that hard. It makes you look good. You don't look like an asshole, because it's all psychological. If a guy's like, they just expect me to do that, it's just how they feel.
Well, it's also a thing too. I never did the online dating at all. Obviously, met my wife well before that. We met in the military, but I never got
the pics. Cute.
I never got to do online dating, and just.
I mean, it's hard, and a lot of
I haven't got to experience where it's like swipe left, swipe right, whatever. Talk to somebody, talk to somebody online. It's like, let's just meet, right? It was, you know. I would meet somebody at the club. I would meet somebody at somewhere in person. When
I first met Kyle, I thought it was a catfish. So I was like, hold up 3 fingers. I took my best friend with me. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is like the one in the blue moon. So I got lucky with that. But if God forbid anything happened, how would I want to do it now? Of course I want it to happen organically. Yeah. But where are the places where people do that? You know,
there's a human element there also that's missing, right? Versus you meet somebody in person, you get that vibe, that, you know, you look good, but I might not like you.
I still get butterflies with Kyle. If they're still not giving you that feeling, spice it up. Do something. You know,
that's that communication.
1,000%.
When you're on that lump in the relationship, it's like, hey, let's do something.
Yeah,
right?
And he support. I mean, the one thing that we have that we couldn't get taken away with this crazy situation is our sense of humor. We will laugh together no matter what, and that is so important. But he supports me on all my crazy ideas. I told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to go and promote this matchmaking. He's like, good luck, babe. Let me know how it goes. And that's the thing, because even it's just such a good feeling to have that support.
If that is something that you're passionate about and you actually like it, then
I'd kill it, dude. I would kill it.
Absolutely. There's no reason why you shouldn't do it. If you feel that strongly about it, you're passionate about it, yes, do it.
Well, and I feel like, hey, if I can help you find your lifelong partner, like, trust me, I can help you find your home, because who else is going to give a shit about it? Like, I am a ride or die, and I will listen, and it's very important. Some people are very robotic, and they don't hear you, and people talk. I mean, I'm a talker, but when I'm doing my business stuff, I let them talk, and I hear, and there's so much that goes into it that people don't know. They just literally see selling sunset, or they just think of a paycheck. And I'm like, it's so much more than that. I've had $2 in my bank account, and for one of my friends to get a freaking $500,000 house, I waived my whole commission. You know, it's all about like, I'll get referrals, whatever the case may be, but you have to really be passionate about it, and it'll come back to you. I believe in karma. I believe in the universe, and everything happens for a reason, and you got to take those signs, and, you know, every day is a new opportunity.
With that, I'm going to end this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Your Peak Life. Please subscribe and like.
I hope you enjoy your party, Eric. Surprise!
Thank you.